Currently, the report displays every record in the database. There may be times when only specific information is to be printed. For example, only display those customers that live in Canada, or only those documents that are of invoice type, excluding credit notes, debit notes, adjustments, and all the others. To filter the data, select Report, select Expert to access the wizard, or Report, Selection Formula to directly enter the formula. The expert assists with selecting the steps in the appropriate order, so select the expert. The first step of the wizard is to choose the database field to perform the criteria on. This is where the field for the condition is selected. Let's say you want to restrict the report to only show those customers in Canada. Select the country code ARCUS.CODECTRY and then indicate the condition. There are several to select from. In this case, is equal to fits, and then select the value to restrict, Canada, and then click OK. Refreshing the report now only shows Canadian customers. It can be easily verified by looking within the white area to the left. If multiple filters are needed, organize them where the filter selected first eliminates the most data. For example, if you only want to include invoice-type documents for customers in Canada, ask yourself which filter eliminates more data. Will it be eliminating non-Canadian customers or eliminating non-invoice-type documents? The reason this is important is because the performance of the report is dependent most on the selection expert. How conditions are ordered affect the speed of the report. Let's add the condition to restrict the report to only show invoice-type documents. Like earlier, select Report, select Expert. The original filter is displayed, restricting to include only Canadian customers. Clicking the New button prompts for the next filter, to indicate only invoice-type transactions. A common mistake when writing formulas is selecting the wrong field for a condition. For example, when restricting the report to include invoice documents, do not instruct Crystal reports to only show those documents starting with the prefix IN in the document number field. This is because, what if someone doesn't use the prefix IN when entering an invoice? To perform this correctly, select the field that tracks the document type from the AROBL table. Remember, if the field name is not known, access the UI Info tool to display the descriptions for each field. The field that controls the type of transaction being posted is called TRX-TYPE-TXT. This is an integer field. To include only invoice-type transactions, select is equal to as the criteria and enter 1 as the transaction type. The UI Info tool shows what each integer value represents. One-type transactions are invoices. The Show Formula button displays the formula that the system created. The formula can be entered manually if the formula is known, but the wizard creates the formula automatically. The order the formulas appear indicate the order Crystal processes the information. In this case, the order specified here is correct for the best performance for this particular dataset. If these conditions were reversed, Crystal would first find all invoice-type documents for all customers, and then eliminate the ones that were not Canadian customers. It appears that eliminating all non-Canadian customers and then displaying only those transactions that are invoices is faster. Formulas are created to define data information that is not otherwise found in the database, or to format data fields to appear in a particular way. For example, for a while now, you have probably noticed that the document date appears a little strange. Accpac stores dates as numbers. So all dates appear this way if a formula is not created to change the format. To create a formula, select the Field Explorer and right-click in the Formula Field section and choose New. Let's create a formula to convert the date field so it appears like a date field is expected to look. Name the formula something meaningful, such as doc date, so it is recognized later. There will be times when you have multiple dates on your report, so don't just say format date as the formula name. The formula screen is divided into 5 sections. The window to the far left shows any existing formulas. In this case, doc date is the first formula. The 3 columns across the top are used to assist in creating the formula. The left column displays the report and database fields, as well as any existing formulas or parameters so they can be used in any other formulas. The center column displays a list of Crystal functions that perform certain operations. Crystal comes with numerous commands that perform every possible condition. Most of these functions are not used when designing Accpac reports. However, there are some that are used often. The Additional Functions subsection contains those commands that are unique to Accpac data. Most are internal codes that will never be used, but there is one in particular that will often be used. This, of course, is the command that converts a numeric field to a date field, provided the date field is in the correct format for the conversion. The command is found within the CAPW section, and the formula is called PW format date. More on this in a moment. The right column contains the operators, procedures such as defining arrays, multiplication, division, true-false booleans, and date ranges, for example. This is also where and or operators are defined if the commands are not known otherwise. The section at the lower portion of the screen is where formulas are entered. Formulas can be entered manually or use the fields, commands, and codes within the columns at the top to assist with creating formulas. To create a date formula, click the PW format date function. This function appears in the lower portion of the window. The cursor will be blinking between the parentheses. The function is asking for the field to be converted. Observing the function column, the PW format date command is looking for a number. As discussed earlier, Accpac stores dates as numbers, so select the date field to be converted. In this report, the document date. From the left column, click the Date INVC field, and the field will be inserted between the parentheses. That's it for this formula, so save and close the formula window. Just creating a formula isn't enough. Crystal Reports needs to know how it is to be used. In this case, replace the existing date field with the formula date field. Delete the database field and replace it with the new date formula. Perform the process from either the Design tab or Preview tab. The date field now appears like a date should. Numeric formulas can also be created from an array of different types of mathematical calculations, possibly to calculate a salesperson commission, determine a discount amount from an item-based price, or to remove tax from an invoice amount. Let's take the last example. This time, create a formula called No Tax. Select the invoice amount field from the left column. Then enter the tax percentage amount to back out the tax. Let's assume the tax percentage was 7%. Divide the amount by 1.07 and then save the formula. As before, add the formula on the report. Place it to the right of the document amount field. Refreshing the report, the amount of the document without tax is shown. In the case of this formula, however, it has been forced to always remove 7%. Whenever possible, make your formulas as dynamic as possible. For example, some invoices may be tax-exempt, or still others may contain tax percentages other than 7%. Therefore, refrain from specifying static values and use dynamic values instead. Returning to the UI Info tool for the AROBL table, several amount type fields are stored. Document amounts, discount amounts, the invoice base amount, among others. One of them is the amount of the tax calculated, if any, for the document. The field AMTTAXHC for home currency. Now that the field is known, edit the formula and subtract the tax amount from the invoice. The amount that appears for each document is now dynamic and not based on a flat 7%. Conditional formulas perform an action under a certain situation. Conditional formulas can either determine the value of a field or return a true or false response, also known as a Boolean. For example, let's say you want to print the text paid in full if the document is in fact paid in full. Like all formulas, to generate a conditional formula, the database fields need to be known. To print the text paid in full, if the document is paid in full, Accpac contains an integer called SWPaid within the posted transaction table AROBL. This switch switches from 0 to 1 when the invoice is fully paid. This conditional formula needs to use this switch. From Field Explorer, create a new formula. Call it paid. This time the formula needs to begin with the conditional statement if. If the AROBL.SWPaid field equals the integer value of 1, then print the text invoice is fully paid. Notice that numbers are entered without quotes and strings require quotes. Notice also that some words appear blue. Blue text indicates that the word is recognized by Crystal reports, indicating keywords and commands. This is important to know in the event a keyword is desired, but it appears black, most likely the cause of a spelling mistake, or used in the wrong context. Save the formula and place it to the right of the amount field. Crystal now prints the message when the switch on the invoice is 1 and prints blank if it's 0. It's blank because there isn't an else clause in the formula. Conditional formulas can also be created to perform an action on a field. For example, maybe you want to have Crystal print all invoices that are less than $1,000 in red. This time, a new formula isn't needed. Instead, edit the existing field so it appears properly under the appropriate condition. To edit the field, right-click on the amount field and select Format Field. Selecting the Font tab, notice the color of the field. At the moment, the field is displayed in black. If the color is changed to red, then the color of the field will be red for all invoice amounts. What you want is to show amounts less than $1,000 in red. To perform this kind of condition, select the X+2 button to the right of the font color. Selecting this button accesses the formula editor screen. As before, the conditional formula begins with if. If the amount of the invoice is less than $1,000, then show the field in red. Saving the formula will return to the field font screen where the X+2 button now appears red. This indicates that there is a formula behind the button, not that we selected the red color. Returning to the report, those values that are less than 1,000 now appear in red. The else clause is automatic in this case, defaulting to black.
Let's take a look at creating new reports in Crystal.